Welcome to the Life Activated Podcast. I'm your host, Mari Roberts, and this podcast is intended to empower you to live your passions right here, right now, encouraging you to be uniquely, magically you, trusting yourself, your intuition, that inner GPS that exists within all of us. And the intention is that it is a catalyst to get you out of the sidelines of your own life, because let's face it, I know you're here to do big things, and being on the sidelines means nothing is happening, and we can't have that. So I hope that every episode inspires you to step fully into your passions, what you are here to do every single day. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Life Activated. I think that you're going to be really excited, because I am, about today's guest. Today's guest is I feel like an important person in my life, in my journey. And I don't even think I've ever shared that with you. I feel like I'm going to get emotional about it, because I feel like it's really sinking in how important you have been to the beginning of my journey. That's so funny. I didn't even realize I'm like really getting So, Stephanie, welcome to the show. I want to start there.
For having me, Mari. It's great to be here.
Oh my goodness. So, as always, I'll have you introduce yourself and share just, the high level, who you are. We do a little boo stuff here in this world. So share any other indicators that would help people understand a little bit more about who you are. And then we'll dive into all the questions.
Good. Doc is getting started with the intros.
Your dog wants to be known.
Definitely.
Hello.
For sure.
That's okay.
For sure. Yeah. So I'm Stephanie Shushan. I work in healthcare as a project and a program manager. And I've been in a lot of different spaces: behavioral health, care, social determinants of health, and working in the Medicaid space. So that's what my work has led me to at this point. I am talking about descriptors. I've taken the Myers-Briggs, and I'm an INTJ. The Enneagram, I'm the number 3, and then astrology, I'm a Leo, Aries rising. I've got a lot of fire and a lot of drive and achievement, and
yeah, I like that. And I love Leos. I'm a Leo rising, and my younger brother's a Leo. So I love Leos in this world. That's another reason I must love you. And I need to look. I think John, my husband, I think he's the same Myers-Briggs as you, but I need to look. I haven't looked at it in a while.
It's a rare one, so that would be...
I'll have to look. Maybe not. Maybe he's not rare.
For sure he is. Rare.
I mean, he's rare, but in terms of his Myers-Briggs, he may not be that rare. So I'll have to look. I love that. Fire and determination. That's really cool. So, in the beginning, as I was getting emotional, I was going to share how we met. We met at the Intuitive Jam. And whenever you hear me tell my story, oh my gosh, I'm going to get so emotional. I cannot believe this. Whenever you hear me tell my story, you don't know this, everyone, listener, but Stephanie is one of the people that I share my story about. She was the person I had my first real reading with at Intuitive Jam.
Realize that.
Yeah. Yeah, you were that person. And that was, I don't even know. I lose track of time. So many years ago.
16 years.
20, I moved here in 2017. So it had to be 2017, 2018.
Okay. Yeah.
By the time I started actually going, probably late 2017, early 2018. Yeah. Well, no, it was winter. It was summer moving into winter. I feel like it was like September, because I had to go off for my recruiting stuff. So it must have been oh boy, I don't know, first year, second year. I don't know. blah, blah, blah. Nobody listening actually cares other than you and me, but it's still interesting.
Timeline.
Yeah, I didn't mean to get so emotional, but it's interesting when you don't realize how much one instance can be so powerful and change so much for you in terms of like the trajectory of the direction of where you're going. And you just being a person to ask a question and me finally having the courage to answer changed everything.
Well, that's really special to hear that. One thing about the intuitive jam and just like tapping into your intuition that is really special is there is like a level of trusting what you feel and trusting what you know is for you or not for you or for someone else or not someone else. And being able to really own that and understand how do you help yourself and help people through their best path.
Yeah. Yeah. And the practice, I think what Intuitive Jam also taught me and helped teach me is that it is practice to hear yourself and to hear your intuition and to trust however it shows up for you, whether you hear, feel, see, or know, but to trust it. And that Intuitive Jam really did allow you to be in a safe space to practice and to trust it with a lot of people. Like you can do this on your own, by the way, if you're listening, but if you want to practice with people, it's a safe space to practice with people. Yeah.
I think it's great too to get feedback too. It adds to that trust level.
Yes, it does. And that's the funny thing, right? Like with you, I was at like conference season. So by the time I came back, it had been months since everything happened. And you came right up to me and you said, I just want you to know that what you said came through the next day. And that was a big, whoa, wow. It was really cool. Okay, enough of that. Enough of me getting emotional over something I didn't think I was going to get emotional over. And I'm like the worst emotional person. I like feel the emotions, but I don't like let myself cry. It's totally my Capricorn-ness, I think. Like having to control everything is so funny. I could feel it welling up and then I just like, okay, don't feel it. Come on, let it go. I have 0 water in my sign, in my astrology, which I have no idea if that means anything. Okay, let's now, before we get into all of my questions for you, I want to share the message with you that came with the card. It's from the Asia to Shore deck, sticking with Asia to Shore, her Guided by Spirit deck. And the card is really pretty. I haven't seen this card yet so far. It's Breathe. And I should say, I have seen this card, just not on the podcast with a guest. So this message is for you. And it's for everyone else who's listening. It's for me as well. And, it doesn't matter when you hear this message, just know that it is for you. So I'm just going to tap in and see what this is all about. So let me just see. So like the first message or way that it came through is, you don't have to hold your breath. Have you forgotten how to breathe, how to trust? There's no shoe to drop. Yeah, there's no shoe to drop. Just allowing yourself to breathe and trust. Because when you breathe, it gets easier. When we breathe, it's easy. Breath is easy. So versus holding your breath and waiting for something to happen, just breathe. Don't hold your breath. I'm like finding myself like tensing up in my shoulders. It's like releasing that feeling or desire to tense and really allow yourself to flow. So I'm not sure if that makes sense or if there's anything happening in the world that you're feeling like, but it's just a good reminder for you to breathe, because when you breathe, it flows. Things are easier. You can see more when you're breathing. You can feel more when you're breathing. When you're tight and tense, you can miss something. And I just heard you can hurt yourself when you're not breathing. So how do you allow yourself to like breathe? That makes sense?
Yeah, it does. It's always a good reminder. A lot of in general when they get stressed or tense, and myself too. You forget to breathe. But yeah, it's very helpful. Your body needs to breathe. You need that oxygen. And
we do. And if you're moving through something, if you forget to breathe, then one, it can be harder, but two, it's also like you can miss opportunities for ease when you're not just sort of breathing. I don't know. There's this feeling of flow and breath together. So kind of, even if you're if you're thinking about something, right? Allowing yourself to even have that image of flow and breath, so the more you can do, the more it can flow. Yeah. I feel like that was a good one for both of us.
Yeah.
There's things I'm like, oh, maybe I should breathe more. Okay. So let's dive into my questions. I have a lot for you.
Do it.
So the first question I have for you is, one, I know what your passion is. I know at least one of your passions. You may have way more than one, by the way, but I know what your main passion is. And I would love if you can share with people what your passion is, because I think it will surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, I've always been creative. So music has always been really important to me, and have played instruments and love to dance, create other things. But yeah, dance is currently my passion and my time commitment, and, what I love to do. I've, taken classes in the past, but this is really something that about 10 years ago I discovered, and it was midlife, whatever that is. But yeah, it's something that I just love to dance. And like you were saying, flowing and, breathing with the music and kind of moving my body and learning about, new cultures through dance.
Yeah. What kind of dance are you into now? You know that question is going to come.
Yeah. So since COVID, actually, and even like a couple classes before that, like years before that, I started taking Afro dance. So contemporary African, Afro beats, Afro piano, just different styles around that. So I've been really spending my time taking class.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And the classes look seriously so fun. So Stephanie always posts and shares from the classes she's in, and shares and acknowledges like a lot of the teachers she's had. And I'm always like, this looks so fun. And the things that cross my mind is, one, I'm not driving into Seattle that late at night because I'm an old lady and I ain't driving in to go dance at 8:00 at night. I know it's school night. And two, I always am like, I would break my knees. There is a lot of neat things happening in the dance for sure.
There's a lot of stuff going on in Afro music. Definitely different. If you think about it, or if you aren't familiar with it, it's kind of in the realm of like hip hop, but obviously comes, is based in Africa, but a lot of really high energy movement and stuff like that. But the thing about dance too is I've seen so many different people of, abilities, and, part of dance is to just do what you can, and if your knees don't work like that, then you modify it and you do, what you can, to get through the class.
I love it. Well, I don't remember if I shared on the podcast or if I shared somewhere else, but I used to be an uptight dancer my whole life through college. I literally used to dance. If you are watching this on YouTube, you'll see it. If you're not, basically, I used to have my hands up by my chest and I would just dance, barely move my body. I used to be so uptight. And then I moved to Hawaii. And when I moved to Hawaii, I just became more free. And I think part of it was I just didn't feel like anyone cared or was judging me. And I was a free dancer. My arms, my hips, everything. I was just like, I didn't even know I had this kind of movement in me. And I'm not a good dance routine person. I shouldn't say this. I'm going to retract what I said. I typically haven't been a good dance routine person, except for when I was in cheer, but that's like very different than real dance. You know what I mean? Like you're not free flowing and moving in the same way. Have you, you said you've always been into dance. Are there other types of dance that you've done that you really enjoyed as much as you're enjoying the Afro dance now? I'm like literally dancing as I'm talking to you about it.
It's great. Like you
can't help but move.
It is. Yeah. And I appreciate your comment about like not wanting to move and then getting open, because it is something that you need to learn and feel comfortable with,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I started class around a little over 10 years ago, taking hip hop class.
Okay.
So the class was called Bottom Heavy Funk with Amy Neal. And she's amazing. And that was, the routine. There was a great, community of dancers who would go to the class. And so that was my first, adult dance class. But it was the styles that I had, that you dance at parties and, school dances and stuff like that. So it came more natural. And then after that, Amy started teaching house. So then I took house, Western African, blues, dance hall,
everything.
A lot of street style. So classes at the Beacon, Massive Monkey Studio. I just, really enjoyed it and liked pushing myself and trying new styles and seeing, how your body can move. Like you can, do the same movement that you want for like your lifetime, but it's fun to try on new movements and see like, oh, can I move this way? Like,
oh yeah.
And can I break dance? Which that's not one of the styles that I really gravitated. But I did try.
That's amazing. Hello, you tried. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are some of the styles, and I still do house dance, and then whacking is another style that I've done.
I'm going to have to look this up.
Yes. Tracy.
I'm not hip.
Yes. I will drop all the names of the wonderful Seattle dance folks here.
I'm not hip.
Yeah, she's amazing. But yeah, just trying different styles. And then house, took some classes with Orb in Seattle. And, especially during COVID, he would host like weekly, like dance outside, dance with mask, just, have fun and people like exploring and just making that space to move and to connect with people. And yeah,
it's like expressing yourself through movement and dance. And then it sounds like for you also that sense of community is a big piece of it, because every session or type of music you've spoken about in the classes, it seems like that's the big piece too, the draw in is the community piece.
Definitely. Yeah. The community, and dancers are good people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
And the expression changes, sometimes you feel like, doing a choreography, which I'd say like my brain doesn't always work for choreography, especially after a full days of work.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, sometimes you want to flow or just like, relax and just like move with some, Billie Holiday or something like that. And it's all kind of ranges, how do you move with your feelings or move with your feelings?
Yeah. I was getting to that or thinking about that was like the movement gets to be a expression of you and how you are feeling in your mood in that day or that week or that season. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I'm feeling a lot of energy on that. So that's like a real definite thing and a good reminder, I think, even for anyone listening to not forget to use music as a way to express and to move through our feelings too, because that's so easy for us to forget to do, for sure. Yeah. Like I said, I'm feeling like a lot of energy in my head. For anyone who's listening, that might be new. When I feel energy in my like pulsing, it's usually my guides. And so I wanted to just acknowledge that. I'm like, whoa, I better acknowledge that. So I would love to know how your passion supports you.
Yeah. It helps me be, creative myself. And, working in healthcare, I've had a lot of jobs that were quite stressful, working through COVID, working in the ICU, and anyone in, healthcare or in professions or volunteerism where you're supporting people and giving to other people, you sometimes forget that you have to take care of yourself.
Yes.
To give, you have to give yourself time to do what you need to.
Yes.
Happy yourself.
Yes. And it's especially important, I think, for people who are in your profession or in other, I'd say giving, helping professions, but it's also just important for all of us. And especially women, we tend to overgive without giving to ourselves first and nourishing ourselves first and giving yourself time to do something that you enjoy, especially something like dance, where you can use that to express your emotions and move through your emotions. That's pretty huge. I'm sure it was something that supported you so greatly during COVID. Yeah. I mean, we're still, in it, but in the heat of it.
Yeah, definitely. And even more on a personal level, it's done a lot in terms of confidence building, but also working through, different emotions or body issues, different dynamics with people. And so it's kind of a good way to create and find yourself in a safe space.
I love that. It's a good reminder. And I just want to restate what you said, using dance as a way to build your confidence in yourself and find yourself. I don't know that a lot of people think about it that way. You might only be thinking about dance from the lens of going to a dance party or a club or whatever, versus can I dance to express myself and find my confidence? What's coming to me is find the badassery in myself again, that connection to self. I think that's a really good reminder of the power of dance. And then it just brings joy.
It does.
Yeah. And seriously, every time I see your videos that you post, I'm always like, you look happy and everyone else around you looks happy and everyone is cheering in the crowd.
Yeah.
It looks like, I'm telling you, if I didn't live where I live and it wasn't a late night school night, I would try to join.
Well, I'll let you know when there's a weekend thing.
A weekend thing in the daytime.
Yeah.
I'm old. No late night crap. I'm old. I go to bed at 9:30. Yes, I go to bed at 9:30. Don't judge me unless I'm staying up late for some reason.
No, that's a challenge too. After work, part of you wants to just sit in front of the TV or, do something else. So it's also for me been a motivation to get out and people and,
I love that. That's a good reminder. I know that you are here to not just live an average life, but to live a deeply fulfilling life. And I can imagine you living your life just the way you want it, stepping into everything that you've imagined for yourself, for your family, that true sense of freedom and joy and leadership. And most importantly, the legacy that you are literally here to leave in this world. And that is why I created the Life Activated course. This is a course that takes you through a tried and tested 3-step method that is going to activate your life and step you fully into your purpose with ease. This is an 8-week journey where you are going to really connect with your true meaning so that you can ignite the purpose that is deep within your soul. I could not be more excited about supporting you in connecting to what you're here for, because honestly, this is this is why I'm here, to help you fully live life as it is intended. And my clients that have gone through the Life Activated course can attest to it. My client, Stephanie, she says that She was at a crossroads in her career. She was wanting to make big changes, but she needed support and spiritual uplift. She was amazed at the career opportunities that opened up for her. She was also amazed at how she moved from being stuck in her process for writing to moving forward in the direction of completing her book, which is huge. And that's all from this course, Life Activated. If you are wanting to be in a course that allows you to do everything on your own, self-paced, and yet still have the aspect of community, live support calls, and the opportunity to meet with me one-on-one, then this course is for you. There are group support sessions, there's energy healing, there is a breathwork session, there are visualizations, additional journal prompts and practices to support you in successfully taking the steps that you know you're here to take. I see you on the other side. I see you doing everything that you're here to do, that you've always dreamt of doing. And maybe you just needed that little hand to help hold you. Hand to help hold you. Anywho, the Life Activated course is for you if you are needing that support. There's going to be a link in the show notes for you to enroll in whichever option works best for you, because let's face it, we need options in terms of how we want to be supported. And if you have more questions, I will also add a link in the show notes for you to reach out to me and schedule a call so we can talk about which option will best support you in doing exactly what it is you are here to do.
So my other question to you is, and I guess this kind of really goes along with it, right? Is how it supports you, is it helps you get out. But how else does dance support you right now?
It's still like the things that I was, telling you about, working through emotions or giving me a space where maybe it's comfortable for me to try something new and fail, and also be that person in the class that's afraid to like mess up in front of, kind of help be that example for me particularly. But
yeah, you're pretty good. Okay. I see the videos. You're good.
Yeah, it's been kind of the same, like working through stuff, finding that joy, finding that confidence that when, many of the people in the class are quite younger than me, and knowing that, yes, my body can keep up and that makes sense. But yeah, I've also just discovered new music and been connected to different people because of it. And I love that too. I love, it's like when you can't travel and meet new people, doing something new, like, a different dance style, you can understand or, get a sense of who people are and where they come from, what their background is and their culture. And
I love that. Like an expansion of growing and learning about other cultures through dance, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. I like that. So I know that you have this passion, and I'm super curious. It's a two-fold question. It's the worst that I do something like this. I am sorry. I'd love to know, one, have you ever been able to bring that passion of dance into work? And then two, how do you balance having this passion and work?
Those are good questions. I haven't yet been able to bring that passion into my work. I mean, with friends and, at the staff party or whatnot. Yeah. But it is an interest of mine. I'm finding connections to health and then the other things that I'm interested in, like, eating well and connecting with nature. And dance is one of those things too. And music too can be so kind of transformational for some folks who've had strokes or, movement disorders. So I haven't yet made that connection between dance and health, but I know there's been some studies kind of testing, the aging process and how it helps with your cognition and your, fitness. So we'll see. Maybe that will be a thing that people will be interested in.
Maybe bring a workshop to work
thing.
Some kind of fun little holiday something. Who knows? Yeah. Yeah. And then, how do you balance your passions and your work?
I mean, it's part of like the time. I think if I wasn't working full time, I'd probably be dancing a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
There was a couple weeks ago where like for a couple weeks I danced almost every day. And it was just so, I loved it, but it's at night,
Mm-hmm.
so when Mari is sleeping, I'm out dancing. That's part of the balance.
Yeah. I'm definitely sleeping when you're out party dancing. I know you're not partying, but you're dancing. But it's like a party. Every time I see the videos, it's definitely like a party. If you ever go to one of these dance classes, whether you're in Seattle or you find one in your community, it's going to be like a dance party. Everyone is so cheerful, and it looks like it's such a supportive group of people having such a good time. So it will feel like you're at a party.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you had another part to that question.
That was it. Those are the two parts. You answered my questions, my double loaded questions. Sorry. You're not supposed to do that, but I do it sometimes. So I want to ask you a question around your intuition, actually. And I would love to know, how does your intuition guide you?
I think it definitely does. Like we said, it's practice, right? Understanding and trusting your intuition. For me, I think my journey kind of delving into my intuition has been about 10 years or so, a little bit before coincided with me dancing, I guess. A lot of it has guided like work decision.
Yeah.
Understanding like, what do I want to do with my career? What do I want to focus on? What do I not want to focus on?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of like in recent years that has come with me understanding and trusting my intuition around where I want to go next. And then, and other things like travel. Yeah. Travel has really like trusting my intuition around traveling has been something that's just been really life-changing for me. That first big trip that I took after kind of being in this space was I decided to go to South Africa for 3 weeks.
Wow.
So I traveled by myself, and it was the first vacation like that I've taken since I was in college. And just, trusting that being that way and traveling and taking time for myself and exploring was my intuition saying that this is what I need, And then part of it is once you trust your intuition, keep listening.
Yes.
Keep listening, because it's not always, one thing, it's like you trust your intuition to lead you in one place. And I guarantee that that's not where the story ends,
Never.
It's
Never.
kind of this journey of figuring out, what's your next step in your.
It's so true. And before we dive more into that, I want to go back to your trip. Mm-hmm. Did you have an itinerary, or did you just say, I'm going to South Africa for 3 weeks and that was it? Did you have a loose itinerary? How did you manage and trust your intuition in this, cross, different continent trip by yourself?
I did have an itinerary. Yeah. And I had a friend that I met up with for part of the trip. So there was, some suggestions there. Yeah. It was really great. There was so much that I wanted to do. So a lot of times when I travel, it's just about narrowing things down and, figuring out where you should be going.
You're like number one place or number two things. Like these are your must do's on the trip. This is a so-so thing to do.
Yeah. But I did bounce around yeah, I did kind of travel all over the coast and Cape Town and the Kruger National Park.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. And it's true what you're saying around trusting your intuition and to keep trusting it and just knowing that you're not done. You know, once you get to one place, it's just part of the process. You're going to get, the continued trusting is what gets you to the next place.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think even if we don't trust our intuition, we ultimately will hopefully, right, get to where we're supposed to get to, right? But it's harder and longer and a lot more painful. Yeah.
Well, it goes back to the flow, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Because a lot of times people, you know, our lives are so structured, you know, there's like either a heard or unheard, like, you know, you will do these things, you will go to school, you know, you'll go to college, you'll get a job, you'll get this kind of job, you'll have, you know, your kids and your marriage and whatever, you know, not in that order.
Whatever.
Of course, that's not the order. But, you know, it's like finding your flow doesn't usually, it is easier, you know. I think there's definitely ways that, you know, I've known just generally people who follow that path and then in their, you know, 60s, they realize, oh, wait, my life is not, I've been not living my life correctly. And then, you know, you've missed out maybe decades of being really, really happy. And so.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing too, right? When you see people or know people who are waking up to the fact that they're not living the life that they desired, that like is true to their heart and soul until, you know, there's so much later in life and so many potential opportunities may have been missed because they didn't get to do it, you know, and that is the path, but it's also, gosh, what if you could have been doing the things years before, right? And I do hate to say the what ifs because like it is what it is, right? You can't go back. So what do you do now? So at least you've heard yourself now, but you know, I still always am like, oh man, all those years missed.
Yeah, the journey, even with South Africa, I remember being in the airport in Cape Town, coming home and being like, I love this place. I have to go back. And then 9 months later, I got an opportunity to work there. And I was like, well, of course I have to go back. Like that's what I said I wanted to do. So if I, you know, don't follow this opportunity, even though I don't know where it will lead me, then that would be something that I would, you know, be 80 and be like, why did I not go back to South Africa? And
when I had the chance.
Yeah, when I had the chance, why did I not do that?
Yeah.
So
it's amazing. That's really awesome. I love that. It's like that again, even just putting it out there and getting the opportunity and just trusting it's going to work out how it's meant to. I wanted to come back to this place, so I'm going to experience it again.
Yeah.
That's amazing. My question for you is, for you personally, have you doubted your intuition?
Of course.
And when you've doubted it, how did you get yourself back on the path of trusting yourself again and trusting your intuition?
I think a lot of it is clearing your head and giving yourself space to let go, you know, let go of expectations or so, you know, that often.
Yeah. Expectations of what we think our intuition is going to tell us, because our brain is like, it's going to say A. And then you go and check in with your heart and it's like, D, wait, what? No, it's supposed to be A, right? So there's that. And then there's, well, my mom, my husband, my brother, my sister, my boss, my kids, they think that I'm going to do this or that I'm supposed to do this. So if my intuition is telling me something different, then there's a disconnect, you know, but the reality is other people's desires for you are not your desires.
That's true. That's really true.
Yeah. And like, can you trust your intuition and what your intuition is guiding you to do or say or be or whatever it is?
And it's not an easy choice, you know, it could be a life shift, you know?
Yes.
someone leaving their job and starting their own business or going back to school or whatever, changing professions completely, you know, have impact people around you. But maybe that I think the stuff like that makes it maybe hard.
Oh yeah. It makes it hard. It makes it hard. And it also is remembering that it is okay to be selfish at times in our lives, because obviously if you're a narcissist, this is a whole different story. If you're a narcissist, disregard everything I'm saying. But it is okay to be selfish and to have these moments where you are putting yourself first. And I also know that it's easier said than done, you know, but at least opening up to the conversations of what's true for you, I think is really important. I mean, I'm married. Okay. There's things I want to do that I cannot just do right away, but I make it very clear what it is that I desire and what my intuition is guiding me toward and what my heart is guiding me toward. And sometimes that causes friction and discomfort. But in the past, I would have let that stop me or been afraid to vocalize what my truth was. And the more you get comfortable sharing, like, this is the truth for me, even if that other person may not feel comfortable, it's still being honest. And I think that's really important. And of course, it leads to conversations, all the good stuff, right? But it would be a disservice if I held it in and didn't support my dreams, or if anyone weren't to support, you know, what's, again, true for them.
Well, that's a good point too about intuition, is it's not always immediate. For me, it's not. It'll be like 2 years later and I'm like, oh, okay. Like that's when it kicked in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there comes a lot of maybe doubt about intuition when things are not, you know, they just don't happen right away.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good point too, right? Because I was talking to somebody else about this on a different podcast, I think, but it's that same thing, right? It doesn't mean that it's not happening. Oh, I think I was talking to Michelle about the podcast. You know, like I knew the podcast was going to happen. I just didn't know when.
Yeah, exactly.
And there is a difference and like a different energy of knowing something and then not doing anything and like burying it versus knowing that you're going to bring it, but you know that there are some pieces that need to come into place first, because there definitely is a difference there too.
Yeah. So I guess that helps trusting intuition too.
You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to. Because I mean, that was like 2 years before I did a Dang Ass podcast, right? So you have to know, like for me, that was a knowing, like I know this is going to happen. Okay. When? I don't know, but not yet. It's not time yet. And then when it was time, it was like, it's go time. Podcast name, find somebody to help me produce this dang thing because I am not technically savvy, and then move from there. Yeah, that's really good. I think good reminders for all of us that the trusting of our intuition doesn't mean that it has to be something instantaneous, or that it, whatever it is that we're trusting is going to show up tomorrow or in the next hour, but it may take longer than we even imagined to unfold. But if you know it, you know it. Yeah, that's really good. Thank you for that. I have another question, and this question is around alignment and understanding and knowing when you are in alignment. How do you know? What does it feel like when you're in alignment? Easy.
Like, oh, this is meant to be this. You know, it's like easy, safe, not stressful. I think definitely when I'm not in alignment, you know, there's more stress, anxiety, you know, worry, nitpicky.
You're like answering my next question before I even asked it. Okay. So great. So with that, do you have feelings or sensations in your body when it's out of alignment?
Not specifically. I guess, yeah, it might need to be like a situational thing.
Yeah. But you definitely have symptoms of worry, and I like the nitpicky part. So when you start to catch when you're like something's out of alignment, whether it's in your work or in your personal life. What helps you come back to your center, your state of alignment?
I mean, kind of depends on the situation. Getting out of the situation or, finding maybe there's specific aspects of the situation that you aren't in alignment with.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to like, just spending time being silent and letting that to you, like, what is really wrong about this?
Mm-hmm. The reflection.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The time to sort of sit back and understand from like a different lens to help yourself move forward. Yeah. That's really cool. A question that I asked that I realized I wanted to ask you. I'm making a face because the way I worded that was so convoluted. Celebrating yourself. How do you celebrate yourself? That's something that I've been wanting to ask everyone because I just think we suck as women in terms of like, how do we celebrate ourselves? So hopefully by hearing how other people do or don't, you'll be inspired too.
I mean, right now it's through dance.
Yeah.
That's really how I celebrate myself, by giving myself space to like actually take up space and move my body and give myself the opportunity to like hang out, dance with friends, listen to fun music. Like that is celebrating me because it's allowing me to be in that space where just like truly be the joy.
Yeah, I love that. The personal joy, experiencing joy, like finding those things that give you that sense of joy. I love that. And that's in your dance. So
also, I just not caring as much. I've always kind of done things out of the box, but celebrating myself also means being silly or just saying the things that I think need to be said. And so, voicing my opinion or, is part of me celebrating myself, giving me that space to really help.
I love it. Yeah. Using your voice to express yourself. Yeah, I love that. So before we wrap up, I'd love to know, is there something that you would like to share with the Life Activated community, leave them with in terms of your final thoughts overall?
Yeah, just maybe some dance advice.
I'll go for it.
Because I think that movement is so important. So much of our days, if you're like me, you're sitting in front of a computer for most of the hours of the day and you're not moving your body and you're not dancing and or moving at all and just even if it's just like swaying, like whatever you can do to kind of just relax your body and move it in different ways. I think a lot of healing can come.
Yeah.
And just a lot of, relaxation and stuff like rocking, and to just try it out. If you don't think you're a dancer, try it in your kitchen. Try it, wherever you are, just like little things, because I think it brings so much joy and for people to own it, feel, joyful.
Dance more.
Yeah.
Move more. Yeah. So finding space and time for dance. And if you don't take a class, dance in your house somewhere, in your bathroom, if you don't want anybody to see, in the kitchen, maybe even put on a video of some kind of dance that you want to do and just see what happens.
Yeah.
But don't do anything like flips or anything if you don't know how to do flips, okay? Safe dancing, but still moving and feeling and expressing.
For sure.
So, Stephanie, how can people find you? Especially since you're dance queen.
Dance queen. I'm on Instagram at ms_Shushi, SHUSHI. and I'm on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. And we'll add your links so people can find you and say hi. And if you're in the Seattle area and they want to go dancing, definitely hit up Stephanie because she will give you tips and places to go and classes to join for sure. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here, for sharing your story, sharing how you incorporate dance into your life and how, one, it brings you joy, but how you are truly living your passions and expressing who you are through dance. And thanks for being one of my first people I ever did a reading for at the Intuitive Jam. Awesome. Thanks so much for being here, and we will talk to everyone soon. Until next time.
Thanks so much for listening to the Life Activated podcast. If this message from today's episode resonated with you, if it inspired you to start to live your passions, to take action in your life, then do me a favor and rate and review us, because honestly, that is the only way that this podcast will be found by others just like you. If you don't want to miss the podcast, don't forget to subscribe. Subscribing to the podcast ensures that you never miss an episode. All right. Thanks so much for supporting the Life Activated podcast. Until next time.